Welcome to the Morning Track Power Hour. I'm Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Werman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll be talking about the NFL's divisional round of the playoffs, uh, some of the craziness that happened there. We'll also talk about the national championship game in college football. We'll briefly talk about baseball, I think, for a minute or two. And then we'll get into our preview for the conference championship round of the NFL for next week. Uh, so to kick off today, Mike, we'll start with the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Four games. It is some craziness happening, especially like in the Buffalo Denver game with a
hmm
late injury. Maybe we can start in that game and then go from there. But like, yeah, do you think Bo Nix's injury is the main story here, or Buffalo is out of the playoffs, or what was the biggest takeaway from the Buffalo's loss at Denver?
I think I still, even though Bo Nix's injury is kind of a big deal for Denver going forward, I'd still say it's Buffalo losing when they had because Buffalo continues to be this cursed franchise that can't get over the hump even without their main rivals in their way this year. The
Yeah,
Chiefs weren't there to ruin uh, Josh Allen's chances. There wasn't Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson standing in the way either. It was simply the Denver Broncos, and it was a very close game, and they kind of gave it away at the end on some controversial, a little bit controversial play that interception that may or may not have really been an interception. I thought maybe it would be ruled a completed pass.
yeah,
The way because he came down with it and they kind of rolled around with it for a little while, but.
yeah,
But I think because Sean McDermott ended up getting fired after the game, I think that makes the Buffalo's losing story even bigger. So
yeah,
I think that's the big story to me. Denver is, I guess I maybe it's just because we aren't really big Denver Broncos fans because we're from Kansas City, so we aren't gonna give Denver the spotlight here. But
right.
and we probably don't feel that bad that Bo Nix is injured. I don't know. I don't know how big a step down Jarrett Stidham really is from Bo Nix. He hasn't played at all, so it's hard really to tell what that might entail. So Denver still could be okay without Nix. I don't think Nix wasn't. He's not like he's Josh Allen, or it's not like he's even Drake May. He's showed himself to be kind of a capable player, but not superstar for sure. So we can see what we'll see what ends up being like. Maybe Stidham will step in and be just as good as Knicks, and be able to help the Broncos beat the Patriots in Denver. But yeah, I think the biggest story is the loss and then the firing of um, McDermott and what's going to happen in Buffalo, and does Buffalo now become is that the best job to be the Bills coach now that we've
Well, look
already
at
got a couple head coaches that have been named. We had Stefanski named as the um, Falcons
Falcons
coach.
coach. Yeah.
The Dolphins have a new coach. I can't remember his name. It's a Hawley, something like that.
Oh,
The defensive coordinator from uh, the Patriots. Um,
I actually hadn't heard that was
Yeah,
finalized.
the Dolphins were finalized, as were the
The Giants and Harbaugh.
Giants with Harbaugh, and then the Titans also have their coach now too.
Oh yeah, and it's not Nagy though,
That's
right?
not Nagy, no.
It's the used to be the former
No,
Jets
Robert
head
Saleh
coach.
was there
Yeah,
as the coach.
Saleh, right?
Yeah. Um,
But really the in Buffalo though, I think it's not just that McDermott was
Halfley,
fired
that's the new
halfway.
that's
Oh
the
no,
new
I hadn't heard
Miami
that.
Dolphins coach. Halfley, the former defensive coordinator from the Packers, which I don't know. They decided just to go defense because they had an offensive coach last time. Uh,
Yeah,
That's the only reason they went defense. Uh, they don't know,
yeah,
turned out so well. Let's go defense. Uh, but yeah, so there's still Pittsburgh job out there, there's still the Baltimore job out there. Now there's the Buffalo job out there. But yeah, John Harbaugh now is the new Giants coach. Um, he was slated to. I think he was a little bit like Andy Reid. His next stop was going to be Arizona, was where he's going to go to. But the Giants swooped up and got him before he could get on the plane to Arizona. Just like the Chiefs got Andy Reid before he could get on the plane to go to Arizona as well that year. So yeah, I don't know where we're kind of a little bit off topic where we were, but in terms of the games, but the coaching carousel is always interesting to look out for. It also seems like the
Right.
Chiefs have a new offensive coordinator.
Even though Nagy isn't officially signed anywhere yet, that's a little makes it a little odder, doesn't it?
Yeah, did you see that Eric Bieniemy is coming back as the
Yeah,
offensive
I heard
coordinator?
he was coming to interview when they were hoping that it was going to be the only interview they did, I guess is what it sounded like, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's
That's the only
expected.
one they're planning, I guess. But yeah, is Nagy officially gone though? That's the weird
I'm not
thing.
sure where Nagy's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, so like, did they decide that Nagy was not returning? Is that how this started, or did they just assume that he is going to get hired somewhere else? And so they,
I guess they assumed he was. See, he's still in as a finalist in some of these other jobs, so maybe he's still going someplace else. I'm not exactly sure. They decided to part ways, I
yeah,
guess.
okay, so they have actually like either not renewed his contract or ended whatever they had, I guess, huh?
Well, yeah, he haven't. Yeah, he was a free agent, I think, and then they
So his
hired
contract was up, and it's not being renewed.
they hired Bieniemy in his old job, so maybe if he comes back, he's coming back as quarterback coach or something like that again.
I
Um,
wouldn't think he would come back to that if he's going to, right?
yeah, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
It just seems strange. I didn't, think that there was like an announcement saying that he was like actually like not being renewed or, that it just seemed like the Chiefs had already either just assumed that he was going to get, signed elsewhere or,
Uh,
you know, which would be, enough reason to start interviewing. But it's surprising that they're like announcing or close to announcing that they've already hired somebody for a position that isn't like
yeah,
publicly acknowledged as being open, right?
yeah. It looks like Matt Nagy was the second choice after Robert Saleh as the Titans coach.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the where Nagy's going to from this round, um,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so we
Well, there's
got
there was one thing I was going to ask you about the Buffalo position though. Do you think it was odd that they not just retained the GM, I think it was Brandon Beane, they actually
Mhm.
promoted him as they
Yeah,
fired McDermott
it's a little
because it
strange.
didn't seem like McDermott was like the problem with the franchise, right? Like it didn't seem like they were having like technical on-field issues, but more like personnel not having the right personnel,
Yeah,
didn't
they
it?
didn't have well, they had a solid running back. I guess they didn't have a
Yeah.
great wide receiver room or
Well,
defense
well,
so
they
much.
kind of lost wide receivers over the last several years,
Yeah.
right? So like,
Hmm.
doesn't that seem like the
It's a little
GM would
true.
go and maybe
Yeah,
you would keep the
yeah. It seems
coach
like
instead, but
yeah, it
at
seems
least
like
for a
they're
transition time?
trying to kind of paper over some of their holes when with and just have Allen kind of uh, pull everybody together as kind of like the Chiefs have done over the past several years. When Mahomes' salary started getting really high, I think okay maybe Mahomes can kind of cover can help hide some of the holes in the roster. Uh,
Yeah,
Allen couldn't quite do that, at least not in the playoffs. And it seems like I think McDermott's getting the blame for it. And maybe this isn't just this last loss, but it's McDermott's cumulative failures in the playoffs that are
yeah,
getting a little bit like maybe Marty Schottenheimer got the axe in Kansas City after a while because of not just because of
yeah,
one playoff loss, but because of many playoff disappointments and um,
yeah.
so
Andy
the
Reid in Philadelphia, right?
yeah
Same kind
yeah
of thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's sort of a cumulative effect. So, but yeah, that was the big I think the big story coming out of Buffalo, Denver. Um, I don't. The next game was not nearly as close or nearly as entertaining. That was the 49ers Seahawks, where the Seahawks just rolled 49ers. I think starting from the very beginning when a kickoff return was returned, the opening kickoff was returned for a touchdown, and it was a 41-6 drubbing. But the 49ers didn't really have a lot of their players available. It seems like injuries finally caught up to them, and maybe Seattle's just the real deal this year. Maybe they're the team to beat. Um, what do you think is going on in Seattle? Do you think that was just a great matchup for the Seahawks because of the injuries, or does this mean or the Seahawks really that good? Are they gonna be able to roll through the NFC and get to the Super Bowl?
It's probably kind of a combination of those two things, though, right? Because I mean, they just faced San Francisco and they played pretty well. They didn't roll them like they did here, but there were injuries in that game that kind of, yeah, probably made this worse in this matchup. But in Seattle did lose Charbonnet, though, I think, for the rest of the playoffs. So they do lose their like second powerhouse running back going forward. So I'm not sure they're going to be quite as dominant in this next round, but they're still a really good team. Like they're probably the team that's, maybe most deserving of being where they are, especially having, you know, basically to rebuild their entire team this season too, right? After, they changed over most of their wide receivers, quarterback, coaching staff, like basically everything in the last, year or two, right? So yeah, well, yes, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough. That San Francisco team, like, they just didn't look good.
No. Yeah, this was not. I think they just had too many injuries,
Yeah.
too many pieces that were missing. So that was the least by far the least. Well, one of the two least competitive games. The Texans game turned out to be not so competitive either. I thought they'd be able to compete and possibly even win in New England. Uh, but CJ Stroud threw four interceptions, and that's not usually a recipe for success. And so the Patriots ended up winning that game relatively easily.
The score
28
wasn't a
28-6
total,
wasn't a blowout, but
yeah, blowout, but it seemed further apart than it was, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So because of the aforementioned Bo Nix injury, does this mean the Patriots? You think they should be the favorites to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC? Are they the um, prohibitive
No.
favorites in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like there are ways that Denver can win, but it's going to have to be like a defensive struggle type game where, it's going to be like, dragging both teams are going to have to be like dragging each other into the muck, basically.
Yeah,
And then, if the scoring is low enough, then, either team can win in that scenario, right? And so like
right. Yeah.
that's like their puncher's chance sort of thing, right? But they have to keep it really low scoring. If Pats end up putting up points early, it's probably over. Really, would be my
Yeah.
guess.
We have a with the AFC and NFC championship games. We'll talk about the Rams in a second. We have a 3 out of 4 chance of a Super Bowl rematch of some sort because we would have either the
Right.
Seahawks Broncos, which we had about 10 years, how many years ago? 10 or 11 years ago now. That was a blowout in favor of Seattle. We had the
Hmm.
Rams uh, Patriots matchup, which was a crazy upset where the greatest show on turf was upset by the then unknown Tom Brady, relatively unknown Tom Brady leading his team to victory over the Patriots. I mean, over
Yeah.
the Rams. And then we also had the Seahawks Rams, which was another one of those sort of classic Super Bowls where it looks like maybe the Seahawks were going to win two in a row, but then they were intercepted at the goal line by the Patriots. So the Patriots got another win for Tom Brady about uh,
Yeah.
10, 12 years ago. Um, And I guess the only matchup that hasn't been seen would be Rams Broncos, uh, which is possible. But those are those, I guess, in terms of the odds right now, it would be the least likely pairing. But the Rams did go into Chicago and eke out a 2017 overtime victory over the Bears. What were your impressions of the Rams victory over the Bears? Did the Rams win, or did the Bears just blow it?
I thought the Rams probably won, I guess, but maybe because the thing that really surprised me though is that the Bears didn't go for two at the end of regulation right after they tied it. Did that surprise you, or did you think they would go to overtime and just see what happened?
Well, I think they felt like they were going to win. I think went to overtime,
Yeah,
because they had the momentum on their side, and overtime's not as much of a crapshoot as it used to be.
yeah,
I think they thought, well, we don't want to accidentally blow it before we get to overtime by going for two and not making it, especially after that huge emotional touchdown that Caleb Williams threw, that he was just kind of running backwards for 20 yards and then just threw it up in the corner, and Cole Kmet happened to be there. Um,
yeah,
it looks like a Rick Mahomes kind of play. Um, Williams has had a few of those in these playoffs. So, but
yeah,
he also had several interceptions that he threw in the game. I think he threw at least three in the divisional round. So he's kind of up and down. But yeah, I was a little surprised maybe they didn't go for two, but I kind of understood why.
yeah,
I thought they thought, okay, the Rams are gonna kind of fold because now all the momentum is going to be um, on the Bears side of the field, and it turned out not to be the case. So the Bears ended up Williams threw another. They had a couple of shots in overtime. They didn't score either time, and then on the second possession in overtime, the Bears actually Williams threw an interception, and then the Rams kicked the game-winning field goal with Harrison Mevis kicking the field goal. Uh, no relation to Harrison Butker. Although I think it would be funny if Harrison Mevis were a staunch firebrand liberal, and then there could be a television show, the Mevis and Butker uh,
not
show.
Harrison and Harrison,
Not Harrison Harris. Mevis and
Harrison
Butker sounds
versus
more like
Harrison.
Beavis and Butker sounds more like Beavis and Butthead. So that's what I would keep Beavis and Butker because they're both Harrisons. Um,
Yes,
but
no,
I don't know if that will be the show everybody would watch or not. If we're a Hannity and Colmes style uh, uh,
yeah, like enter the battlefield sort of type of
yeah,
political showdown show.
political showdown. Yeah, or
Uh,
yeah, but
mm. I don't want to watch that one.
I don't want to watch Beavis and Butker,
Beavis and Butker or Harrison versus Harrison.
Harrison versus Harrison.
Yeah.
No, two, yeah, but Harrison Mevis, who was not on the roster.
Mm.
Um,
I couldn't possibly come up with who their kicker was before, though. If that's, I have no idea.
the thicker kicker is his nickname because he's sort of a hefty guy. He played for Mizzou for a little while.
Uh,
Um, and he Yeah, he was undrafted out of Missouri. He played from Indiana originally. He's been on the Panthers and the Jets practice squads, as well as kicking for the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL. Um, but I don't remember him as the kicker for. I guess I remember vaguely as the kicker for Missouri. I don't really follow Mizzou football very much. He did kick a 61 yarder for Missouri in 2023. Um, so he had some solid seasons for the Tigers. But yeah, he's about 6 feet tall, 240 pounds. So he's a bigger uh, guy.
and not the typical. the
Kicker.
prototype kicker
No,
physique, I suppose.
no. He's sort of the
Right.
Jared Lorenzen of kickers.
Yeah.
He's number 92, so doesn't wear a number that a kicker traditionally wears.
Yeah.
Um, but he's yeah, he won the I guess he defeated former Chiefs kicker Cairo Santos in the NFC divisional round. Santos has been doing pretty well. He's kind of reversed some of the Bears kicking curses over the past few years. So it's not his it wasn't Santos's fault that the Bears didn't when he didn't kick a doink or a dump
Yeah.
or something like that. So
See, that's part of the reason why I thought they would go for two is because I thought the franchise would have that in their mind is like, do not let an extra point or a field goal determine the outcome of the game. So like if you're down by one with almost no time left,
Mhm.
go win it rather than tie it, right? Because if I would think that all of the Bears fans would just be seeing that ball, hitting it
Yeah,
upright, and then losing the playoff game right there on a
yeah.
missed extra point, right? That's what I assumed that they would be wanting to avoid just even the scenario. So they would go for it just to try to win, just to not have that happen again.
Yes.
But no,
One further note on the kicking situation in that game. Harrison Mevis's older brother, Andrew Mevis,
oh,
kicked for Iowa State for one season, 2021. He started
mm,
out at Fordham and then he played for Iowa State.
mm,
Uh, and then he is now currently the kicker for the Green Bay Blizzard of the Indoor Football League. He
mm.
had a brief tryout with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and then the St. Louis Battlehawks he played for a while as well. But um, he was Iowa State's kicker in 2021, where he was a third team All-American as kicker in 2021. Do you remember any Andrew Mevis moments for Iowa State?
Don't remember that. No, no, I don't remember that. No, you looking for highlights now?
Yeah. Andrew Mevis highlights. Looking for Harrison Mevis highlights. But yeah. So yeah, what maybe I guess we'll preview the NFC and AFC championship games in a little bit. Do you want to should we start talking a little bit about college football now since I think we've discussed the NFL somewhat thoroughly each of these matchups, or is there anything we want to add before we move on to college football?
So I mentioned how we did in our on the big board
Oh, the big board.
for that round. It wasn't uh quite as lopsided as last week. We both lost a little bit this time.
But
Uh,
you did much better
but
again
not
than
yeah, I didn't lose quite as much, I guess, as you did this time.
I missed all
But
four on the spread. I missed three
that
out of four on the
hurts.
over under, so it was not a good showing for me. I got a couple of the money line ones right, which were uh, but
It's
yeah,
better than the week before on the money lines, right? So
better than
that was the disaster week
that was my worst week.
for you, yeah. But it turned out this week that picks that we agreed on did terribly, Mike. I think we were like 2 and 5 in picks that we agreed on. Is that's weird though, right? Like things that or at
It's another
least pseudo consensus picks are the ones that are the least likely to succeed.
yeah, it's another one of the times where our naysayers would simply pick against us and
Yeah.
have a field day and win and laugh all the way to the bank. So maybe that's what's happening. We'll see if
Must
that
be.
happens in the championship games, but it certainly would have happened in these games. But these games were all pretty unpredictable. I think um, they were close, and the games that that we thought there'd be upsets maybe, uh, but I guess the only upsets were the ones we didn't pick.
Right.
And really, all three, two of the three games were coin flip games, and the other two were maybe surprising, I think, in terms of the margin of victory, we would say, but for both teams. I thought maybe even each of the teams that lost still had a chance at winning those games going in, but they didn't look very good they just didn't play either. It didn't play well or didn't have really any people
The
left, I guess.
Houston one was the really disappointing one, though. That was like
Houston kind of gave it away, I think, in a lot of ways.
because Stroud was the more experienced quarterback, and he did not play like it at all. I don't think so. That's what
No,
that's what's surprising. I guess it's really what it is, right? It's because Stroud's been to the playoffs before,
yeah,
so you'd expect him to be a little more seasoned in the situation at least.
yeah,
So, but, but that's not what happened. So yeah. Okay. Should we change
yeah.
gears a little bit here
Go
and
on to speaking of college, we talked a little bit about college football already, but the college football national championship was Monday night, last night as we're recording this. The Miami Hurricanes hosted, but were technically the away team uh,
yes.
against the Indiana Hoosiers, and Indiana ended up winning. They were the number one seed. The Miami 10th seed Miami Hurricanes Cinderella run, I guess, came to an end, losing 27-21 to Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers. Um, were you surprised about the about the results, or was this what was to be expected for you, Dr. Scaff?
Think it's pretty much kind of how we thought it was going to go. Maybe we thought the margin of victory might have been a little bit bigger, but I think we were both leaning towards Indiana the last time that we talked last week anyway. So uh, yeah, I mean it was kind of a gritty game, which you'd expect with Miami's defense and Indiana had some interesting plays. I didn't really expect this game to be that high scoring overall, though. I thought maybe Indiana would win by a touchdown or more than a touchdown. So the line was, I think, 8.5, wasn't it? That's where
Yeah.
it landed. He ended up winning 27-21. Maybe more surprising than the game outcome, Mike, is that you picked an over in this game, and it's been years since you picked an over.
It has been
At
a long
least
time.
in a game scenario, though, not like in a prop bet, but in
A game,
a
yeah, for a total
total,
score.
yeah, points.
Over. Yeah, I decided to pick the over. It was looking really terrible, the over, most of the game, especially the first half when it was like 10-7 or something like that at the
Yeah,
half it was. And then it ended up, the over under was 47 and a half. It ended up being 27-21, which is a total of 48. So it ended up going over by 1/2 point. So I was right on the over this time. I thought it was going to be like a 30. I thought it'd be like a 35-20 type of game or something like that. It was my expectation. So I thought Indiana would score a little bit more and win by a little bit more. But it was a closer game than I thought it would be. Especially the first half, it was lower scoring than I thought. It took a long time for either team to score a touchdown.
yeah.
Um,
And then there was a block punt that became a touchdown. There was a long score from Miami later to bring it close. Uh, but yeah, what did you think about that gutsy 4th and 5 play that Indiana had near the end? Did you hear about that one, or were
yeah,
you
yeah,
watching at that point?
it was a big run by Mendoza at the end, and Um, he had been injured a little bit in the early going, or not injured, but bloodied a bit on a kind of
Like beaten, basically.
possible
Did you see his
target.
arm after the game?
Yeah, he got his
That was
lip was
crazy.
he got hit in the face on a sort of targeting issue early on by one of the Miami players that
Yeah,
was called. But yeah, it was a yeah, he ended up winning the game, helping win the game in kind of heroic fashion. Even though again, I thought maybe Indiana was going to win by a lot more than what they ended up winning,
yeah.
but when they ended up winning the game anyway, they didn't win on the spread. They were favored by 8.5. They only won by 6, so we were both wrong on the spread. But we each got our money line pick, and I got the over under. I believe you picked the under this game.
I
Uh,
did. I thought it was going to be a little bit lower scoring. I thought maybe it was going to be, yeah, like in the teens, maybe like for the high score, but even
hmm.
less for the losing team. But
Yeah,
Um,
I could have. Yeah, I thought maybe a little bit like the Alabama game, the 38-3 win for um, Indiana. But yeah, Miami and played pretty well. I thought they handled themselves pretty well. I think they have some really good players, and maybe we'll come back next year and do better. Even though Carson Beck's going to be gone, but I think I don't know how many more years of eligibility he has. He's 7 or 8, 9. They can play. They can play as long as they want. It seems like in college nowadays. But um, so
Seeing Indiana win a title like this now, do you think this opens the door for basically any down on its luck team to win a national championship one day?
possibly you never know. Because
Yeah.
it's like especially with the current state um, of college football with the NIL money and things like that. Maybe you could, somebody can buy their way into the top position. Like this is what Texas Tech tried to kind of do this
Right.
past year, and they almost got there. Maybe next year that will happen, or maybe it could be somebody like Iowa State would potentially challenge for a national championship, even though they lost their head coach to Penn State this past offseason.
That's a tough one. I don't expect it anytime soon. I think if they had a shot at it, it was probably with Campbell. So I don't expect it.
Yeah. I did get my futures bet right. My Indiana futures pick
That's right.
uh, came into fruition, and that gave me like also gave me a little bit of cushion in the final round. But I think I still lost money on the playoff overall.
Yeah. You were behind me by like $1 or something going into this final round. And so the over under pick actually gave you a healthy win. Then the Indiana win, pushed that over the top anyways. You were going to win as long as Indiana won our
Mm.
uh CFP betting competition. But you won more resoundingly then because of that.
Hmm.
If if
Okay.
if Miami won, I think I would have won by like $1, but we both would have lost basically all of the money that we had. But I still would have won by $1, Mike,
Hmm.
because that was where I was ahead. We were very similar the last couple of rounds. Did you also note that the Indiana was the first 16-0 college football champion since your Yale team won in like 1880
Ninety-
something,
I think it's
or
18. I think it was the
1895.
1895 Yale Bulldogs for 16-0 as well, something like that. I think it was something.
Yeah.
I did see that. Yeah,
And
it's still
presumably
Yale's.
you drove through Indiana on your way home recently too. So does that
Yeah,
count that you have a link to both of these 16-0 teams?
I was in Indiana during the Indiana-Oregon game. I spent the night uh, in just outside Indianapolis um, during the Indiana-Oregon game, so I saw some of that game. Yeah, I believe it was the 1895.
1895, okay.
Wait, no, what year was it? 18. No, they were only 13-0-2 in 1895. Let's see. 1894. It's the 1894 Yale Bulldogs team. They repeated in 1895. So 16, yeah, they outscored their opponents 485 to 13 uh, in that 16-0 season, where they won as the national champions, 16 and
Wow.
0. Uh, Two of the games they lost, well, two of the games they won, the opponents scored 4 points. I assume there were two safeties scored. They beat Harvard 12-4, and they beat Williams 23-4. Uh, but they defeated, uh, they shut out Princeton, they shut out Dartmouth, Lehigh a couple of times, uh, Brown. Uh, yeah, they had a great 16-0 victory. They played more teams than anybody else that season. Um,
Yeah, that was back when they sort of did their own scheduling, I think, right? They would like decide who they're going to play, call them up, make it, schedule it. It's not like the NCAA
yeah, yeah,
is involved in schedule making. Yeah, but yeah, that was your link to both of those 16-0
uh,
teams, then, right?
yes. My Yale link and then my driving through Indiana link. I think I guess I have a um, more of a link to
The
Yale since
1894 Yale
I
Bulldogs.
actually went there. Yeah. Um, yeah. 94 Yale. But yeah, so I'd say that they're the best 16-0 team since the 1894 Yale Bulldogs. But
By definition.
I don't think they'll match that Yale team, uh, even though they were 16. Yeah, I don't think any of them was quite as good as some of the other undefeated teams of the more recent past that have won the national championship. I think maybe
Right,
a couple Alabama teams that have maybe been undefeated, or the that Joe Burrow led LSU 2019 LSU team with
right,
Justin Jefferson and um, uh, Chase Jamar Chase as the starting uh, wide receivers,
right.
and of course Clyde Edwards-Helaire on that team as
Hmm,
well.
hmm.
But that was one of them,
Love
or
it.
one of those Nebraska teams of the late '90s or the early
Mm,
2000s. Miami Hurricanes had some good teams, so those are probably the best teams. But Indiana had a good year, um, and yeah. Miami came close. They beat Ohio State. They almost ended up beating Indiana as well. So they almost I think the best two teams were probably Ohio State and Indiana this year.
yeah, yeah,
Beat one of them, other than maybe Miami, I guess. Which because Miami was actually they thought was maybe a team that wasn't going to go get into the playoffs because
yeah,
they did not win their conference, but
right.
they
Yeah, they were the last team in, also, weren't they?
yeah, I think they were maybe the last team selected. Yeah, that wasn't automatic.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah. Well, that betting round though kind of continued our struggles this year with football. We've not done all that well with our football picks, Mike. We'll have to pick it up here in the next round.
We'll try to pick it up in the next round. Let's make that a little bit better. Should we before we go to AFC and NFC Championship game? Should we talk a little bit about baseball, or is there
Absolutely.
anything else to add? Do you have for the Indiana um, Miami
Yeah,
game?
I think it was a yeah.
Okay, yeah. So baseball. I guess the major announcements were just made this evening as we're right before we went on the air. The Major League Baseball or the I guess not the Major League Baseball, simply the Baseball Hall of Fame made its announcement
Right,
as to the new inductees, and there were two new inductees. One of them has ties to the Kansas City Royals. That was Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones, both center field players for many years in the 90s and 2000s. Um, were picked as the two new inductees in the modern era Hall of Famers, um, beating out the rest of the field, which included such players as Chase Utley, who was, I think, third. He didn't make the 75% threshold. Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez were on the ballot still again. Andy Pettit, players like that. Alex Gordon made his first appearance on the ballot, but only got one Hall of Fame vote, so he'll drop off the ballot. Um, do you think the uh, voters got this one right? You think Beltran and Andrew Jones were deserving Hall of Fame players?
Andrew Jones. I think we talked about I think last year that we thought he was likely to make it soon. Beltran I thought was a little more surprising, but seemed like I think he had an even higher voting percentage though, didn't he?
Yeah, Beltran was the highest
Andrew Jones.
voting percentage.
Yeah, that
So he
surprises
had
me.
84% of the vote. Andrew Jones had 78% of the vote.
Yeah, yeah.
Chase
I
Elliott
don't in
59, Pettit 48 and a half, then going down from there. I'm a little surprised Chase Utley has so many more votes than Jimmy Rollins. I always thought Jimmy Rollins was just as good a player as Chase Utley when they both played middle infield for the Phillies.
Phillies. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe Utley's um maybe Utley's WAR was higher than
yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Chase Utley. I'm looking up Chase Utley really quick on Baseball
Yeah,
Reference.
Andrew Jones though. I mean, he had decent hitting stats, but was such a good defensive player too. That seemed like it was an easy selection there.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, he was.
Beltron, at least from Royals fans' perspective, like it seemed like the player that we'd always hoped for, and then follow the trend of Royals draftees that they couldn't keep around the team because they wouldn't pay their players enough to stay in Kansas City after they developed into good players. So it was kind of a missed opportunity for Royals fans to see like them some of that like that outfield, especially that was with Beltron, Jermaine
Mhm.
Dye, and Johnny Damon at the same time. All three guys, all stars, different
Yeah,
times later in their careers, especially, but not winning championships with the Royals though. That's what we would have hoped. We maybe had an owner that was willing to spend a little bit more money to keep those guys around, right?
yeah, that was just how it was in those days.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I think Beltran. I don't know if he would have made the Hall of Fame if he stayed with the Royals, though.
probably not. Probably not, actually. Yeah.
He probably needed a bigger markets to go to, became a more market when he played for the Mets and the Astros, especially. I think that was probably his best seasons were for the Astros.
Yeah.
Uh, and maybe some for the Royals as well. He played really well, but
Mm.
um, yeah, we feel. I guess you feel good. You think he'll go in as a Royal on his uh, plaque? Will he wear a Royals cap?
I wonder what it's going to pick. I'm not sure. What do you do? It seemed like he's probably was he with the Mets actually longer than he was with the Royals?
I don't know.
That's what I. Yeah, I'm not sure. Mets enrolled both 7 years. He played more
Okay.
games with the Mets though. 839 games with the Mets, 795 with the
Played more
Royals.
Mets.
But he did not win a championship though, did he?
Ooh. So
Or maybe he did. Well, they did win in his last playoff appearance was in 2017, so they did win with the Astros in his age 40 season, Mike. So he did get one
age
title,
40. So he went back. He went back to
one
the Astros. I
season.
forgot he went back with
I didn't even remember that.
during
Yeah.
their is that was their cheating season.
Yes.
He won one uh suspect title with the Astros.
Yeah. Which he may have had some involvement in that too, right? Because it seemed like he was in line for a managerial role, I think, the next season that did not end up developing, possibly because of that cheating scandal,
Hmm.
the trash can.
The trash can beating. Yeah. Yeah, he did when he yeah, that yeah, he played for the I forgot he played for the Giants for a year. He played for the Cardinals a couple of years. He really bounced around at the end of his career. Texas, the Yankees. I
Yankees for
remember
a
he played
couple
for the Yankees
years.
briefly.
St. Louis for a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah. He had his best season. He had Astros. He played just that one half season for the Astros, and that's when he almost got the Astros into the World Series. He had some really good
Almost
playoff
single-handedly.
performances and stuff like that, but they still couldn't quite make it. That was it the Brad Lidge home run allowing season when he's allowed home run after home run in the postseason. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, he had 4.5 WAR in 90 games
Yeah, so
for
that's like the trade deadline
yeah.
or slightly before the trade deadline, I guess, right?
Hmm.
Trade because he was pretty good with the Royals earlier that year,
Yeah.
and then he just like lit it on fire basically in the second half.
Yeah, he never had more than he was never higher than fourth in the MVP running. So,
Yeah.
and Jeff Kent as well will be inducted as the Veterans Committee uh, pick.
Yeah,
So,
we did talk about that a few weeks ago.
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite Jeff Kent story? The story about how he injured himself in the off season where he fell washing his truck. Well, that was like the story that apparently was made up to hide the fact that he'd been involved in a motorcycle accident, which was in his contract that he was not allowed to ride motorcycles.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes, that was what. Yeah. He was supposed to be a kind of a jerk too. That's what I heard
Yeah,
about him. But no, these people didn't like him. I don't know if that was the
yeah,
media didn't like him, his teammates didn't like him. Lots of people didn't like him.
yeah,
Um, but or maybe Barry Bonds just didn't like him. I'm not sure what the well, the Bonds wasn't liked by a lot of people either. Um,
yeah. This is a contest to see who could be most dislikable between those two.
yeah, apparently, well, Kent has won that round because he's in the Hall of Fame
He is
and
going to be in the Hall of Fame. Yes, and
Bonds at this
Bonds
point
is
is
not,
not.
at least not yet anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah. One day, some committee will probably put him in, but it won't be anytime soon, right?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's baseball. Anyone down ballot that seem like they're going to be in it at some point?
Um, Well, I think
Cole
Utley was the
Hamels is the number
closest,
one.
right? That didn't make it.
Chase Utley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Andy
don't know that he's
Pettit.
like getting closer though, do you?
I'm not sure what he was last year. Andy Pettit, I don't think. Well, I think he's got too many PED detractors.
Right.
Felix Hernandez maybe got 46.1, so I can see him climbing up a little bit. A-Rod and Manny Ramirez about 40%, Bobby Abreu 30%.
And that
So
was
you
Manny Ramirez's last. That was his 10th ballot, so he'll be off next year too.
yeah. Yeah, Omar Vizquel, I think people thought maybe would be higher at one point, but he's slipped again.
Yeah.
I think he also had some sort of I can't remember what his negative story was. Was it PD or was it personal?
For who?
Omar Vizquel.
Ooh, I don't remember.
He had a higher percentage at one point, and then something else, something I don't know if it was there's something came out that was negative
Yeah.
uh, about
Oh, no,
him
I don't know.
because he was seen as a great defensive player, but not was kind of under he was a sort of sabermetric darling briefly. Um,
Well, it looks like next year though, uh Buster Posey will be on the ballot.
I believe. I think I'm thinking of his Cal. I think him. But anyway, well, that's I
He'll
guess I don't
probably
know
be.
who are the likely
What's that?
new include who are the people now included on next year's bracket? Do you know? Have you read about
Yeah,
those?
I've got a list here. Yeah, it's yeah, Buster Posey's the highest by WAR, 45 WAR for his career.
He had his
Brett
career kind of cut
Gardner.
short.
Yeah, yeah,
Posey had championships. I could see maybe him getting in. He had some injuries though that kind of cut his career short, but he had three World Series championships in um, 2010, 2012, and 2014 for the Giants.
and he's well liked too, so that
Yeah.
may be going for him there also, right? The league actually made a rule change about collisions at the plate because of him and some of the injuries that he
Yes.
took on. So I'd be a little surprised if he doesn't make it. So this is the Baseball Writers Association that makes the decision. So he seems like a more universally liked player
hmm
than many of the other options that we've talked. You mentioned just a little while ago as players that have not made it through.
Yeah, he won a Rookie of the Year. He won an MVP, Buster Posey.
Mhm.
So catcher, premium position.
Right.
Especially somebody like Joe Mauer got in as a catcher without, I think, some of the same. He had some more, maybe Mauer had more individual accolades because he had some more batting titles and things like that, but he did not have the team success that Posey had. So I
Right.
think, I think you're right about Posey probably getting in.
And yeah, you probably wouldn't expect him to be a first ballot guy, but knowing how liked he is, it may be enough to push him over the top for the first ballot.
Posey did win one batting title in 2012. He
Yeah.
batted six. He had, yeah, OPS plus was 171. Yeah, he had some really good seasons that year when he was MVP. So yeah, I could see Posey getting in, but yeah, he had the injuries that cut short his career.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some of the other names on this list, though, are Brett Gardner, John Lester, Ryan Zimmerman, Kyle Seager, Drubal Cabrera, Irvin Santana, one of the
former
Royals'
Roy.
pitchers during their World Series run. Todd Frazier, Josh Reddick, Jake Arrieta, Scott Kazmir. I mean, those names jump out at you as being likely first ballot Hall of Famers, Mike.
No, none of them.
I,
There's some
I
good
was guessing that's how you're going to answer that question
some
very
good players.
succinctly.
There's some good players in that list, but like it wasn't, they're not much better than the Alex Gordons and the Shinsu Chus and the uh, Ryan Brauns that were left off of this year's
Right.
list. I think most of them are. I don't know how many of them are going to make it past the 5% threshold to make it on even
Yeah.
another. So we'll see.
And
Um,
Ryan Braun was one of those guys that had a couple of different
he,
PED
yeah,
allegations and the suspension, I think, even where he lost half a season, right?
yes,
Yeah. So that's not surprising that he didn't make it just for that.
no, no. I think that's probably the biggest reason he didn't get more votes than he would have gotten. But well, should we move on from base? We don't have much Royals news either to talk about other than the Beltron uh, news. So should we move on to talking about the AFC NFC Championship games?
Let's do
We'll
it.
talk a little bit about maybe the spread and which way we're leaning. But and then we can wrap up this week's episodes of the Warren Trek Power Hour.
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, only two games, so this part may go relatively quickly.
yeah, only two games. We have Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos, and then at 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, we have the Rams at the Seahawks. The Patriots are favored by 5.5 points at Denver because of the Bo Nix injury. What do you think the spread would be if Nix were in the game? Do you think the Broncos would be favored over the Patriots?
Yeah, Probably, but it'd probably be by less than the home field advantage spread, I
Similar
would
to the
guess.
Buffalo game, they were favored by 1.5, I think.
Yeah, I think it would be somewhere in there, but yeah. But
So
since that's
you
not
think
the case,
so you're saying Bo
they're an
Nix is worth about
underdog.
a touchdown to the odds makers.
Well, I think it may not just be Bo Nix, but it's just the not having a quarterback having had a whole season under his belt with this team, right? So it's maybe
Yeah.
more about the not necessarily that Bo Nix is that much better than Stidham, like you may have mentioned earlier, but he's maybe not as comfortable in this offense just because he hasn't been running it all season.
Yeah.
So he has to like get a whole season's worth of practice in here in this last week before this game comes up. So that's probably the bigger deficit than anything else. So
Yeah.
unless the weather is like super bad and this turns into like yeah major like defensive gritty game, then I'm leaning towards New England pretty heavily, even on the spread
New England on the spread, you think even?
on the road. Yeah, with as the road favorite. So that's where I'm leaning right now. I don't know. Are you thinking the same thing? You thinking something else?
I'm not sure what I want to do here. I'm not a Bo Nix fan. You know my dislike about Bo Nix and his name with too few letters. Jared Stidham has the requisite number of letters to be a good quarterback in this league. Bo Nix has far too few in his name. Um, so I think that I could see Stidham playing well and the Broncos playing well enough to eke out a victory. I don't know if that's likely to happen. The Patriots have been really good. They played really well at home their first two games. Defensively, they played well. But it's in Denver, the air, the altitude. Denver still, might be flying high because they beat the Bills, I think. Uh, the Bills have beaten the Broncos. I would say I would favor the Bills over the Patriots
Yeah.
um, going in. So I'm not sure. I think the Patriots should win this game, but this is one of those games where I might split the difference. I might pick the Patriots money line, pick the Broncos to cover, um,
Edge the bet or try to thread the needle.
thread the needle perhaps.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, something like that is what maybe I'm leaning toward right now, but I haven't fully decided. Uh, I'm similarly not sure what I want to do in the Rams at Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 2.5 points, basically an even game other than the home field advantage, um, which is 2.5 to 3 points usually. So the Rams are 2.5 point underdogs going into Seattle. I believe the team split uh, the season series 1-1.
So I think that's right.
Oh, I can see.
Seattle won 38-37. Looks like in week three.
Yes, and then they won 21-19 and during the middle of the season. So two very
Oh, yeah.
close games. So two games that were within 2 points of each other.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't. It seems the way Seattle has been playing, Seattle is really they're on a roll more so than the Rams, I think. The Rams really, I think, got fortunate to win in Chicago. I don't, I think the Seahawks are a better team than the Bears. So right now I'm leaning Seattle, I think. But I could change.
Is that on the spread even too? They're favored by
Well, if they win the
just
money
shy of a
line, yeah,
field goal.
I think they'll. I would pick if I'd pick the team to win the money line and the spread. This is with the spread that small, so I think the field goal. I think Seattle by at least a field goal is the bet
Yeah.
for me right now. But that might change depending on what happens going in to these games.
The Seahawks did lose Charbonnet though too, so they don't have their second powerhouse running back. Does
No, they
that
said
does
it.
that does that affect your pick at all, or does that make
Well, it
not make a
affects it a
difference?
little bit, maybe. Like you can say
Yeah.
they're probably, they'll have to rely more on Walker, but I'm sure they have another back that can be a decent change of pace running back behind Charbonnet. So,
That's kind of
um,
the thing where it's like, yeah, if you've got two running backs that are that good, like how much do you think it is about either of those individual players, and how much of it is about just the offensive line and how good they are opening up spots for those guys to run through?
yes.
So maybe there is a third or fourth guy that can still get solid yardage to give Kenneth Walker some time off. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Seattle right now also. I think yeah, Seattle is probably less likely to have a bad game, and the Rams seem like every once in a while they will just have a bad game. And
Hmm.
if that does happen, then it may be another blowout. But an NFC West team is definitely representing the NFC in the Super Bowl, though. We know
That's
that already. We just don't
we
know
know
which
that
one.
already. And as we discussed, there's a three fourths likelihood that will be a repeat Super Bowl matchup. The only new matchup would be the Rams Broncos, which we have not seen yet. Are you rooting for? Would you so just based on that idea, would you root for a Rams Broncos Super Bowl simply because we haven't seen one of those, or would you rather see a rematch of a previous matchup?
Well, I don't want to see the Broncos. I don't really care about the Rams, so I'd rather see a different previous matchup than the unique one. I thought you were going to set me up for the same, just flat no.
No.
But
Well, we also have this is one of the times where we it's each of the teams have already won a Super Bowl. The Seahawks have won somewhat recently. The Patriots have won pretty recently. The Rams have won fairly recently, uh, and the
Mhm.
Broncos have won fairly recently too. In the scheme of things, each of these teams have won within the last 10 to 12 years at least. So it's not, but none of these teams are maybe dynastic teams either. So this is sort of just a weird one-off. It seems like it's kind of a weird one-off year for a Super Bowl champion because we didn't have some of the powerhouses in the AFC, like the Chiefs, contending this year, and we didn't end up seeing we didn't see the Eagles or the 49ers, those teams that have been really inching close the last couple of years in the NFC either. So it's sort of, I'm not sure, maybe yeah, because as you'd say, maybe this if the Rams win, that gives the Rams two wins in 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's probably might be Matt Stafford's last hurrah. You think maybe he'd retire on something like this? Um, it could signal a beginning, I guess, of a Seahawks or Patriots or Broncos dynasty if they can keep on winning. But it seems like it's maybe the end of a Rams era.
Shot at this. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Are you impressed or maybe slightly annoyed that the Pats are back in this? So it makes it, I think, the 16th straight season that either the Chiefs and or the Patriots have been in the AFC Championship game. Like,
I am a little irked by the Patriots' reappearance. So that's why I'm not sure. I don't know if I want them to lose or the Broncos to lose more. I'm actually rooting for the NFC this year, though, in the Super Bowl. So I think the Seahawks are probably the most deserving team over the course of the whole season to
mm,
win. And I think either AFC team will lose to the NFC team, whichever NFC team makes it. Um,
yeah.
I think the NFC those two teams are a little better than either of the AFC teams.
Well, if it's the matchup between the Pats and the Seahawks, it would be like the two teams that have maybe undergone the biggest retooling in the last year or two, meeting in the Super Bowl, kind of relatively early in this retooling process for those two franchises. Is that the story you'd rather hear about than something else? I guess I don't know.
I don't know. It would be I'd be interesting to see if Stafford could get back to another one and sort of
Yeah,
cement his Hall of Fame chances, you would say. Um, I don't there's no but everybody else is too young, I think,
yeah,
to really know what to do have legacy issues at this point. Although Darnold, I think, would be an interesting story if he made it, being a highly touted prospect to being cast off by multiple teams. and now leading a team to the Super Bowl and playing well as well. So, yeah, or you could say Drake May is the heir to Tom Brady. Is he gonna do that, or if or or if Stidham could somehow lead the Broncos to a Super Bowl victory, he'd be the first, um, you know, backup quarterback in a while to do that. So that would be also an interesting. So there are angles that could be taken, I think, for each of the teams, but I still see each of these teams as not really a champion in the same way that, the Chiefs or the Eagles were the last few years. Even the Rams of a few years ago, I think we're a stronger team than this year's Rams team is too, and maybe one that's more likely to contend going forward. Maybe I guess maybe you could say the Seahawks. Darnold's still fairly young. Maybe they'll keep building, or I guess you could say maybe who knows what maybe the Patriots or the Broncos could do if they're healthy going forward. But um, I don't see this. I think this is kind of a fluke Super Bowl rather than a legacy kind of defining Super Bowl. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, this isn't anybody's like second championship, except in short succession, I guess. The Rams are the closest, I guess, to being some kind of uh, repeat team, but it's still there's enough gap there where you're not like saying like, oh, they're going for two in a row, they're going for three in a row, sort of scenarios, right?
Mhm.
There was quite a few years between those two, so yeah, I don't know, but I
Well,
guess
stuff to look forward to, though.
yeah,
We'll see. We'll see how the writers of the stories spin things and put things into perspective, depending on who wins these games. Then we have 2 weeks of Super Bowl hype to go into. So next week we will review the action for the AFC Championship game. We'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl preview, but it'll be only week one of our Super Bowl preview because we'll have a second week to talk about the Super Bowl as well. So next week will be a little bit of an interesting week, I think, on the Power Hour, since we might end up having to talk about other things next week because we only have a couple of football games to talk about, and then a week off before we get the Super Bowl preview. There's no more college football to talk about. No more. Right now baseball is still in its hot stove period. So we'll see what happens with free agent signings and things like that. We'll see if the
right.
Royals make any stadium announcements between now and next week. So we have a few things to guess, but we might end up having to talk more about TV or movies. So maybe we should start thinking of things to watch.
We'll also have see what other NFL coach positions are filled in the meantime too.
Yes, we have the NFL coaching carousel too. Uh,
Floodgates are opening, right?
yes, we have, I think, 6 or 7 jobs left still open.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think any of these coaches are going to get fired if they lose in this round.
Generally not. It'd have to be an absolute disaster of a conference championship game to get fired
Yeah,
after that, I think. Yeah. Somebody could retire, I suppose, but you'd still think that would be unlikely. These are
yeah. McVay, I guess, could say
mostly
he gets
relatively young
burned out
coaches.
or something like that, but I don't think anybody else would leave.
Vrabel's really new and in New
McDonald,
England, right? So
uh, so he's only his second year, and then it's only Peyton's second year in Denver too. So
yeah, yeah, it'd be surprising if any of these coaches,
this is Peyton's third. I think it's Peyton's third year in Denver.
probably, maybe that's right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Third or fourth. Third, at least his third,
Yeah,
because he was 1 year before Bo Nix. He had a Russell Wilson year.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this is Knicks's second
Second.
season. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we'll have
sounds
those
good.
to look forward to for next week. Should we wrap up this week's episode of the Power Hour?
Maybe one quick note though is just that we will be making our regular picks. We'll also be making a series of prop bet picks on some like yardage over under totals for passing and rushing and receiving too. So we'll have a little bit more to talk about for betting recap next week.
Oh, I have one more thing to add. You mentioned before we went on the air that the Denver Broncos signed a veteran quarterback to the roster as a backup to
That's right.
uh, Bo Nix, signed on the practice squad. I don't know who they signed. Who did they sign? Andrew, is it somebody that's really gonna um, you know tip the scales towards Denver to win the game next week, or is it uh, a much ado about nothing
I
signing?
just thought it was amusing that the headline was like Broncos signed veteran quarterback to roster ahead of AFC Championship game. Uh, to click the article to see that it was Ben DiNucci signed to the practice
Ben,
squad. That
former
wasn't,
Dallas Cowboys backup, I believe.
yes. Yeah. Who has gotten experience in the NFL. He has started games. Not a whole lot
Yes,
of games, but a few. So
yes.
he'll be backing up Stidham and uh
Sam
Jake
Ellinger,
Ellinger or Sam Ellinger. Sam Ellinger?
Sam, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, that sounds right. So he'll be the third string potentially. Should any disastrous scenario happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe even the second. Maybe he'd be the first string by the time the Super Bowl rolled around if uh, Stidham was hurt and they've had Danucci so stood a better chance than Ellinger as the backup. But I don't see that quite as really happening. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. So
Thanks for
lots of
remembering that. I'd forgotten to mention it.
yeah. We mentioned it off the air, and then I don't think we mentioned it as a I don't think anyone would have been the wiser had we not covered it.
No.
No one was saying, "Hey, we didn't talk about the Ben DiNucci signing."
Number one story on other shows, but not this one.
Yes, number one
Didn't even make
story.
the cut.
It almost didn't, but we
No,
remembered it. Fortunately for Mr.
just under the wire.
For Mr. and Mrs. DiNucci's their son Ben to make his big appearance. Yeah, he's been on the practice squad. So he's been on the Cowboys. He was on the Bills practice squad in 2023 as well. On the Broncos practice squad in 2023 as well. He was also on the Bills practice squad, the Saints practice squad, the Falcons practice squad, uh, and he played for the Cowboys a couple of games before Pitt and James Madison, quarterback in college.
Hmm.
Three games played in Dallas 2020, one game started, 0-1 record as a starter, 219 yards passing career in the NFL, Ben DiNucci. So we'll look forward to see what Ben DiNucci has in store for us in these coming weeks. But most likely he'll be on the bench holding a clipboard, uh, talking to Jarrett Stidham, the Denver Broncos' current starting quarterback, unless things go awry with Mr. Stidham. So, but we'll find out what happens with all that next week here on the Power Hour. And until then, I am Dr. Michael Werman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Warning Track Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our YouTube channel, available on YouTube, and or our podcast, available on many different podcast delivery platforms, including the one you're using right now if you're listening to us on a podcast. We appreciate your viewership, your listenership, your patronage, and we look forward to seeing you next week when we talk about the AFC and NFC Championship games, a little bit of a Super Bowl preview, part one of our Super Bowl preview. We talk a little bit about other exciting aspects of the world of sports and entertainment and beyond next week. So we'll have all those things to look forward to next time. We also wish you luck this weekend if you're making bets on the AFC and NFC Championship games, as long as your interests do not conflict with ours. Uh, and as always, here at the Warning Track Power Hour, we will wish you a good day.